You told them everything, every fear, every failure, every dream. You opened your chest and handed them your heart, thinking honesty was strength. But they didn't see your transparency as courage. They saw it as an invitation to hurt you, to doubt you, to use you. And now you're sitting in the aftermath wondering how something that felt so right turned into a weapon. What if the truth is this? You were too transparent and it made you weak. There's a silence that settles in after betrayal. Not the kind where someone lies, but the kind where someone uses the truth you gave them against you. You thought vulnerability would set you free, because that's what they say, right? Be real. Be open. So you were. You let people see behind the curtain, spoke about your wounds, your insecurities, the nights you cried in silence, the voices in your head that whispered you're not enough. You told them everything, thinking it would create connection. But connection wasn't their intention. They listened, yes, but not with empathy. They listened with calculation. You saw it in their eyes. That flicker when you revealed too much. That pause before they offered comfort. Because in that moment, they knew something you didn't. They had power over you. And the worst part? You knew it too. But it was too late. You'd already handed them the map to your weakness. You thought being transparent would make you stronger. But it left you exposed, unprotected, bleeding in front of people who never brought bandages. Now there's a part of you that's colder, quieter, and maybe that's not a mistake. Maybe it's a lesson written in scars, because there's a line between honesty and surrender. And sometimes the truth, when given to the wrong person, is just another way to lose yourself. There's a truth most won't admit. The world doesn't always reward openness, it punishes it. They say transparency builds trust. But trust only matters when it's mutual. And too often, it's not. When you bear your thoughts, your wounds, your truths, you expect the same. But most aren't looking for connection. They're looking for control. Your transparency became ammunition, a mirror to reflect your own doubts, a spotlight on your flaws. You weren't real. You were too much, too emotional, too honest. They told you to open up, but when you did, they stepped back, judged, labeled you as unstable, dramatic, weak. When people ask for your truth, what they really want is the version that makes them comfortable. And if your truth doesn't fit, they reject it. They reject you. That's the dark side of vulnerability. It's not a guarantee of intimacy, it's a gamble. When you bet on someone else's integrity, going and lose, it doesn't just hurt, it shifts you. You start questioning your voice. You hesitate before sharing. You filter. You build walls where there were windows. But maybe that's not weakness. Maybe that's wisdom. Because transparency is only power when you know who's looking through the glass. Not everyone deserves access to your soul. And the ones who do, they don't need all the words. They feel you, even in silence. It started small. A story you shared when you felt safe. They nodded. They seemed to understand. You exhaled. It felt like connection. So you kept going. Your past, your fears, all of it, slowly spilled. But they weren't listening with open hearts. They were collecting, cataloging, waiting for your openness to serve them. And eventually, it did. Maybe it came as a joke in front of others, a subtle dig wrapped in humor, the kind of laugh that stings, or maybe during a fight, when you were already hurting and they threw your words back at you. Didn't you say your dad left? No wonder you're like this. You always need saving. Suddenly, everything you gave in trust was used as proof of your unworthiness. That's when the silence sets in, the kind that echoes. You replay every conversation, trying to find where you gave too much, trying to unspeak what's already spoken. But you can't. It's out there now, and it changed everything. You tell yourself next time will be different. You'll hold back, you'll test first, but even then there's a scar. Not on your skin, but on your instincts. It makes you flinch. Turns trust into something you study, because now you know. Some don't want to understand you. They want to define you, box you in, use your words as limits. You felt it, the urge to explain, to overshare, hoping they'll get it. But they won't. Understanding wasn't the point. The point was knowing more than you, holding that edge. And you handed it to them. That's what makes this pain so cruel. It's not about hurt. It's about being misunderstood by someone you trusted. And after that, you change. You keep secrets, even from yourself. You learn to smile without your eyes, to keep conversations shallow. People call it being guarded, but it's not. It's survival. You sit in rooms and say nothing, not because you have nothing to say, but because they're not listening. You become selective, not from arrogance, one from experience. You stop performing, because for a long time that's what it was. Performance. Bleeding on stage, hoping for applause that never came. Now you know better. Transparency isn't a virtue in the wrong room. It's a liability. It makes you a target. If they don't have the depth to hold what you carry, and still, you want to be seen. So you search, not for an audience, but witnesses. Souls who don't ask for everything, but feel everything. You'll know them by the way they let you unfold. With them you won't have to perform, you'll just be. That's where real strength lives. Not in telling your story to everyone, but in knowing who's earned the right to hear it. So no, you weren't weak for being transparent, but you became weak when you believed the wrong people would value your truth. Now you know the difference. Now you carry your story like a weapon, not a wound. They didn't reject you. They rejected the version of you that was honest. And now you hide, not because you're fake, but because you're tired of bleeding for people who never learned how to hold wounds. You gave them access to your soul, and they treated it like gossip. They touched the softest parts of you with dirty hands. You weren't too much, they were too small. Now, you speak less, trust less. Not because you're bitter, but because some people never deserved your truth. You didn't lose yourself. You just learned to protect what they couldn't value. There's a shift that happens after betrayal. You stop looking for others to understand you and start listening to yourself. The silence that used to hurt becomes peace. The walls you built become boundaries, and the mask you dropped in search of love, you now hold in your hands, not to wear, but to remember who you were before the world taught you to hide. Because now you know, not everyone is safe. Not everyone has earned the right to see you. And that's not your fault. Vulnerability without safety is just exposure. Standing naked in a storm and calling it healing. You were never weak for being open. You were brave. You believed. And even now, there's still a part of you that wants to believe. But now you do it differently. You test energy. You watch who shows up when you're silent, not just when you spill your heart. Because real connection doesn't need performance. It honors silence. It earns your truth layer by layer. So don't stop being honest. Just stop handing your soul to people who haven't even shown you their hands. Your truth is sacred, and the right ones will never make you regret sharing it. If this spoke to something you've lived, don't explain it. Just share it with someone who needs to hear it, someone who's given too much and is still healing. Let them know they're not alone. And that silence can also be a form of strength.